Preparation for Life Science Paper 1. Let's see what we expect. This is just a sample, but I'll be guiding you on more questions which are most likely to come. So I'll be combining two different papers. All right. So we are saying that let's start without wasting time. So the first question, the structure that receives vibration from the malleus and transmits it to stapes. So remember, don't forget that it is Miss. Okay. Miss. Which is malleus, incus, and stapes. So they're asking you A, oscus, B, incus, C, tympanic membrane or tympanum, and then D is round window. So we are saying that we bring it, receives vibration from malleus, and then transmits it to stapes. You see that if it is Miss stapes to stapes from malleus, so it means that the answer is supposed to be the middle bone, which is incus. So it's incus which is in that regard. The part of the male reproductive system that forms the birth canal during labor. Which part of the reproductive system is basically acting as, basically we say, the second name for it, for the birth canal, is the vagina, or the second name for the vagina is the birth canal. So the answer becomes C. So if they ask you what is the second name for the vagina, then you say that it is the birth canal. The structure in the amniotic egg that removes wastes. How do we call that structure which stores? Sometimes we say stores wastes. Remember, we are looking at the extraembryonic membranes. In this case, the extraembryonic membrane, you need to know the amnion, what is it for, allantois, what is it for, yolk sac, what is it for, and then chorion, what is it for. So you have to know the function. But the one which is responsible for wastes, it is allantois. So those are 2 marks. The diagram below represents the cochlear implant in the human eye. Which part of the brain is connected to the cochlear implant? To the cochlear implant. So they're saying that cerebellum, corpus, callosum, cerebrum, and then medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata. So in this case, we have to ask ourselves that what is hearing? Hearing is a sensation. So you come back to the part of the brain. You need to know the function of cerebrum, corpus callosum, cerebellum, and then medulla oblongata. So the part of the brain which is responsible for hearing or sensation, because hearing is also another example of a sense. So the part, it has 3 functions. All of them have 3 functions. So the answer is going to be C, which is cerebrum, because cerebrum receives and interprets all the sensation. Number 2 is a center for higher thought processes. Number 3, it controls all voluntary actions. It controls all voluntary actions. So in that case, it's going to be cerebrum. Then you go to the next question, 1.1.5. They're saying that the cornea and the lens are both. The cornea and the lens are both, number 1, opaque, meaning that they don't allow light to go through. Then transparent, They allow light to go through. And then elastic, they can extend themselves. Inelastic, they can't. So if you look at them, both they allow light to go through so that an image is focused onto the retina. So this cornea and this lens are both transparent. So the answer becomes B, that both are transparent. Okay. Which one of the following part secretes alkaline fluid to neutralize the acidity of the vagina? Remember that these parts were joined together. That the prostate gland, the cowpass gland, and the seminal vesicle were joined together. They perform, in these days, we ask them as general. So in this case, they're saying that alkaline fluid is basically supposed to be done by the prostate gland. Prostate gland. So I have prostate gland. I don't have any other gland. We call them accessory glands. So the accessory glands here, they are how many? They are 3. That is seminal-vesical, prostate gland, and cowpass gland. So in this case, I only have the prostate gland, which marks it to be the most correct answer. So B becomes the most correct answer. Question 1.7 and 1.8 are based on the diagram below. So you need to know how to label the structure. Whenever they give you a diagram, make sure that you know how to label. This is the umbilical cord, this is the placenta, this is the amnion, and then this is the chorion. Which label part maintains the body temperature of the fetus? But the temperature of the fetus is being controlled by the amnion. So I have to look for the part which is linked to amnion. So the answer becomes C, which is amnion. So you see, if you don't know the part, then automatically you won't be able to get the answer correct. Then we go which one of the following functions function of the umbilical vein. Now we talked about the umbilical vein. You have the umbilical artery and the umbilical vein. Umbilical artery takes blood away from the baby, and then the umbilical vein brings the blood to the baby. So since the blood is coming from the mother, then automatically it's going to have a lot of oxygen and a lot of what? Nutrients. And then the umbilical artery, since it is coming from the baby, is going to have a lot of carbon dioxide and a lot of what? A lot of wastes. You understand? Yes. So now we come back here. So what are they looking for? We are looking for the umbilical vein. So it is that one which is supposed to have a lot of nutrients. So curry is useful. Yes, curry is useful products, yes, from the fetus. No, to where now? No, because of from the fetus it becomes wrong. Carries waste product. No, doesn't carry waste product. Carries waste product. No, doesn't carry waste product. Say that carries useful, yes, from the placenta. Here they said from the fetus to where? Yet the fetus is the one which requires this. So the answer becomes from the placenta to. Okay, you got the next question. So that is it. We got the next question. They're saying that the normal site of fertilization in human female is what? The normal site for fertilization becomes the fallopian tube. The fallopian tube is where the baby develops from. So that is it. Let's go to the next terminologies. That is the next question. They're saying that the part of the male reproductive system that stores sperm cells until they mature. We have been singing this song that this is called epididymis. We call it epididymis. The process where sperms and ova fuse inside the male's body. So how do we call that? So since it is inside, they talked about the word inside, so I will add the word internal. But sperms and ova fusing together, then I'm gonna say it is fertilization. Then they're saying that the behavior where the organisms spend time and energy to protect the young ones. So how do we call that? We do that as parental care. Parental care. A disorder that occurs because of the body's inability to produce insulin. If you fail to produce insulin, then we're gonna call it diabetes. We call it diabetes. Diabetes. We are diabetes mellitus. We call it diabetes mellitus, the site where oogenesis takes place in human body. Where does the ova being produced from? That is the ovaries. The functional connection between two or more neurons or successful neuron. So we said it's called it a synapse. Synapse. They're saying that the ball of cells that form during embryonic development. When they talk about this, they are talking about the ball of cells which forms during embryonic development. They're talking about this. How do we call this? The ball of cell. So it is automatically, we're going to say it is morula. The period between 10 and 12 years when the human sex organ develop. How do we call that? We call it puberty. We call it what? Puberty. Yes, it's a puberty, meaning that you are ready, mature sexually, but you are not yet ready for case of the country. You are still a baby. Yes. So we are saying that a finger-like projection that develop from our outer membrane of an embryo after implantation. How do you call that layer? The outer layer. This layer we are talking about. How do you call this outer layer? So we say that the outer layer is called chorionic. They're saying finger-like projection. The layer is called the chorion, but the projections, the finger-like projection, the one which project out like this, so that now you form the fetus like that. Okay, you form a ball of cells, hollow ball of cells, but it has finger-like projection, so we call it chorionic vili. Chorionic vili. Yes, the chorionic vili. So that is it for the case of the terminologies, and then we go to both A and B. The structure in the ear that converts vibration into pressure waves. How do you call that? Pressure waves are being converted by the oval window. If you look at the ear, yes, we have the structure of the ear. We will look at it, but the last bone, that is the stapes, it causes the oval window to vibrate, and then the oval window creates the pressure wave in the inner ear. So that's why we say that oval window is the one which has that function. So it becomes B only. Autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system is if you look at it, which one is autonomic nervous system? It is the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system, the one which are responsible for making your body to be in under emergence, and once the situation is done, the parasympathetic is supposed to bring it back to normal. So the answer becomes B only. So the answer here, don't write B, don't write A, don't write that. No. You're supposed to say B only. A only. B only. Both A and B, none. A only. So if when you are writing it differently, B, A and B, A, we will cross it. And then don't be surprised that you come out of the paper and then thinking that, yes, you have killed the paper yet in actual sense, it is the reverse. All right. Contains photoreceptors. Photoreceptors are supposed to be found on the retina. Why? The photoreceptors are divided into two. That is the rods, and then that's the cones. The cones are responsible for bright light, bright and color light, and then the rods are responsible for black and white, and basically for dim light. Being if you have well-developed rods, it means that you are able to see at night. So the answer becomes here again B. So B only. So it's B only, it's B only, it's B only, it's B only. Okay. Then we go to the next question, that is 1.4, and then we see what is being asked on 1.4. So you have to make sure that you know how to label each and everything here. So this is the urethra, this is the epididymis, this is the cowpass gland, and then this is the testis. But if you come back here and then we see, you need to be able to label each and every part. So if I give you this, what are you supposed to label? You see, make sure that you know all these parts from all these diagrams and their functions. So if we go back here, let's first answer this paper, then we shall go back to that one, and then we do what we call the catch-ups. So we are saying that give the letter and the name of the part. Here is 2 marks. Even if you don't know the name of the part, make sure that at least you are able to give me the letter. Just pick it if you don't know for sure. You never know. Your guess might be correct. So where does meiosis takes place? In this case, we are looking for the part where meiosis takes place in the testis. So the answer is D, and then it's going to be the testis. Yes. Then they are saying that parts that form both urinary and reproductive. Urinary, it means that it's used for urine, and then reproductive, it means it's used for reproduction. So the answer is going to be C, which is the urethra. Urethra. So you see that if you know the parts, then automatically you'll be able to know whatever question they're asking you about. Make sure that you know the parts and the functions of each for the male and the female reproductive system. Then they are saying that the structure that secretes fluid which improves the sperm movement. Remember, I said that these ones are now combined together, but I have to look for the part which is being given, and it is among the 3 accessory glands. So in this case, it is A, and the accessory gland here is going to be the cowpass gland. Cowpass gland. It's the cowpass gland. All right. Then we go to the next question. So it means that now the 6 marks are gone, or we are able to get it right. Name the hormone that is responsible for the secondary sexual characteristics. Secondary sexual characteristics will show that now you are almost a man, though you are not yet a man in the country. So the is being controlled by the testosterone. By testosterone. So that is the hormone which is responsible for that. Please don't ask these too much questions that does the spelling matters. Yes, definitely the spelling matters. The spelling really matters. If you don't, then automatically you'll be losing the mark. So we shall go back to our question, the other question, but now let's continue and find out what are they saying here. They're saying that name the parts. Name the parts, letter, and the name of the part. Make sure that you know how to label the parts of the brain. So we are saying that what is A, that is cerebrum. What is B, that's corpus callosum. What is C, that's the pituitary gland. And then what is D, that is medulla oblongata. And then what is D, that is cerebellum. Make sure that you know the functions of each. For example, this center for higher thought processes, control voluntary actions, and also is responsible for receives and interprets all the sensation. Controls, it connects the left and the right hemisphere together. Then we talked about pituitary gland. This one has a lot of functions. It's one of the glands which produce a lot of hormones like prolactin, FSH, LH, TSH. All these are hormones which are being released by the pituitary gland, or what you call the hypophysis. The medulla oblongata is responsible for involuntary actions. And then this one is very important for muscle tone, balance, and equilibrium. Yeah, so at least make sure that you know some of the functions, so that if they ask you a question, you'll be able to answer those questions. Yeah. Then they're saying that name the letter and the name of the part that is responsible for number 1. Part A, connecting two hemispheres together. You see, now that's where, since I know that this is the one which controls the left and the right hemisphere, then I'm able to know the answer. You see, so it means that the answer there is gonna be B. Then they're saying that heartbeat. Then you ask yourself, heartbeat. Heartbeat is what? Do you have control over the heartbeat? No. Though some people, they say that their boyfriends, their men, is being controlled by their men, their boyfriends, their girlfriends. No, man, it's being controlled by medulla oblongata, because that is an involuntary action. So the answer is D, and then you tell me that it is medulla oblongata. So make sure that you know how to write all these spellings. Yes, memorizing. Some people, they say medulla. Medulla is wrong because they have different parts which are called medulla. So memorizing the cell phone number, my name, your name, or it means that that is a higher thought process. So because in the higher thought process includes the memory, reasoning, and judgment. So in this case, it's gonna be A, and then the answer is gonna be A, which is the cerebrum. You see? Name two parts of the components of central nervous system shown in the diagram above. We only have two components of the central nervous system. We don't have anything else. So we have this part, and then you have the whole part, which is the brain and the spinal cord. Yes, the brain and the spinal cord. We don't have anything else. Those are the two parts which are involved in the central nervous system. They can even ask you, the question is here. How is the brain protected? How is the brain protected? So in this case, we're going to tell us that the brain is protected through meninges, cerebrospinal fluid, and then meninges, cerebrospinal fluid. Then you talk about meninges, cerebrospinal fluid, and the cranium. Yes, and the cranium. I don't want to go to the distinction material book because it will be just taking a lot of time for us. So I rather just tell you that, guys, just go to the distinction material book if you want to know a lot of this meninges. So you see, it's the meninges, the cranium, and then the cerebrospinal fluid. All right, then we continue to the next question, and then we say that, hey, this one is done. So you see that this paper was a little bit easy. Yes, a little bit easy. So the same thing that you're gonna write is gonna be a little bit easy. So you're gonna be able to pass the paper. So just make sure that you go through this paper, you add some questions, and also you go to the catch-ups. The catch-ups are here. I will give you the catch-ups so that you're able, once you know the catch-ups, and then you know this at least, yes, I guarantee you that by the time you come out of the paper, you will be the happiest person on this world. But if you don't do what I tell you, then that's... please take note of this question. This question is not going to come the way it is here. No, it won't come like this. But there will be an extract. There will be an extract. So the function of this is to show you how do you scoop the information from the extract. You understand? Yes. So read the extract, and then so that you're able to get this information. They're saying that the male, the piper, The male toad makes a clicking call in the water to attract the female. The male then grasps the female from the above. The skin of her back begins to thicken. Hey. Right. They're saying that the female releases one ovum at a time, and the female can have more than 100 eggs embedded in the skin of her back. The male fertilizes the eggs on her back. The skin continues to thicken around each egg so that the eggs are embedded within her skin. They are saying that the development stage from the tadpole to juvenile takes place inside her skin, and eventually the tad, tadlets emerge from her back by squeezing out through the opening in the skin. All right. They're saying, name the type of fertilization that occurs in this regard. So since these things are happening outside the female's body, outside therefore is going to become the external fertilization. External fertilization. Explain two ways in which the tadpole increase the chances of fertilization. In this case, they're asking you, how does it increase the chances of fertilization? If you look at it, we shall see that the tadpole increases the chance of fertilization by, yes, if you look at it here, the female releases ovum at a time, and the female can have more than 100 eggs, meaning that by having 100 eggs released, yes, because if it doesn't release a lot, it can be washed away or eaten by the predators. Yes. Then they're saying that the name two, they said name two. The number two, eggs are embedded in the in the back of the female to protect the eggs from being what? Played upon by the predators. So I'm not saying that this question is coming exactly, but I'm saying that there will be an extract which is helping you to. So you have to read. You have to read. Most cases, the first question and the second question, they come from the extract. But in most cases, the last question not usually come from the extract. But if so, then that you are lucky. Name the type of reproductive strategy you see in the embryonic development that can be seen. So in this case, if you look at it here, you just see, you read to understand. You see, you understand. And then after that, after you understand, then you have to apply. So in this case, we see that the eggs are being laid out, and then fertilization takes place, and the development is outside. So if the development is outside the body, and the eggs are just laid, then automatically it's going to be ovipary. Is going to be ovipary. You see, if you look at this word in the extract, you won't find it there. But because of the characteristics you have heard from the question, then you are able to know that that question is that. Then we go to the next question, which is asking you, oh, where is the question? All right. Yeah, the question is here. It's about reproduction. But before I go to the reproduction part of it, let's talk about this, because we are about to, okay. Once we are done with that reproduction, I'm gonna go to the catch-ups, and then I finish the catch-ups, and then I continue with the questions. So the diagram 1 below represents development of the follicle, and diagram 2 represents the level of hormones during the menstruation or menstrual cycle. Yes, so they're saying that if you look at this, we see this is a corpus luteum, and then this is the ovum, which is being released by a process called ovulation. Then if you look at this is suspected to be estrogen, and then this is suspected to be progesterone, because it increases after day 14, while this one increases after day 7 and then drops towards day 14. So because of that, so I have to say I suspect. They're saying that identify X. What is X? We say that X is an ovum. And then process Y, we said process Y, it is ovulation. So it is ovulation. And then we say this is ovum. There is a hormone responsible for formation of Z. So if you look at Z, it is corpus luteum. That is, it means that the hormone which is responsible for conversion of empty Graafian follicle to corpus luteum is LH. Name two parts of the menstrual cycle. Name two parts of the menstrual cycle. Meaning, in other words, how is the menstrual cycle divided? It's divided into two. That is the ovarian cycle, and then you have what you call the uterine cycle. So there are two cycles: ovarian cycle, which occurs in the ovary, and the uterine cycle, which occurs in the uterus. Give two visible reasons why the female is not pregnant. Give two visible reasons why the person here is not pregnant. First of all, if you look at the size of corpus luteum is degenerating, it is disintegrating. It was big, it becomes smaller, and then smallest. So it shows that there is degeneration of corpus luteum. And then if you look at this hormone B, which I classified it as progesterone, the level is dropping. Why? Because it is after day 14 when that's the only hormone which increases rapidly after day 14, meaning that after ovulation. And then our corpus luteum is being formed. The moment corpus luteum is formed, now progesterone is being produced. Now, since now the corpus luteum is degenerating, automatically the hormone B, which is progesterone, also drops. So it shows that this person is not pregnant because of the disintegration of corpus luteum and also dropping of the hormone B, which we call progesterone. Then we got the next question. Describe the process of oogenesis. This is the process everyone has to be knowing. It must be like a story. Then you tell us. Under the influence of FSH, the diploid cell in the ovary will undergo mitosis to form numerous follicles. Yes, so they form what? Numerous follicles. So only one inside the follicle will enlarge to undergo meiosis. Will undergo meiosis and to form 4 haploid cells. Only one will survive to form a mature ovum. Yes, basically you have to explain that the way I explained it in the our distinction material book. I don't need to repeat this, but I know, guys, that you have to understand that under the influence of FSH, the diploid cell in the ovary will undergo mitosis to form numerous follicle. Only one inside the follicle will enlarge to undergo meiosis, and then of which of the 4 cells, one only survives to produce a mature haploid ovum. So that is it. Don't need to explain to us the primary oocyte, the secondary oocyte. We don't want those. We just want that. Okay. Then we go to the next question. They're saying name 4 functions of placenta. Name 4 functions of placenta. When you talk about the placenta, you only explain what is being asked in this regard. What are the processes do you have on your body? It will help you to understand all that concept. So for example, I eat, that is nutrition. So placenta is responsible for nutrition of the fetus. Then I excrete, the placenta is responsible for excretion. Then I breathe in and out, gaseous exchange. The placenta is responsible for gaseous exchange. The skin helps me to prevent substances from entering my blood. So basically, is the placenta is acting as the microfilter. The body have the endocrine system which produce hormones. Also, the placenta is responsible for production of hormones like progesterone after week 12. Yes. So you see that all the processes basically you have is what is being done by the placenta. So it's also is point of attachment between the mother and the baby. So placenta has a lot of functions. So if such question come, you have no reason why you should fail that question. So before I go that, let me just do a catch up with the topic of reproduction so that I know that now I'm done with the reproduction. I'm not coming back to reproduction. But now I'm going to be a little bit faster when it comes to these questions of the reproduction. What is fertilization? Is when the haploid nucleus of the sperm fuses with the haploid nucleus of the ovum to form a diploid zygote. So you guys, I'm not going to keep on writing this. You have to go to distinction material book to find out those answers. If you don't, everything is there in the distinction material book. Yes, if you don't find it, please make sure that you can get it from our YouTube channel by clicking join button just below your video you are watching, and then yes, become a member and then be able to access these books. All right. So we go to the next question. Catch up is done. Distinguish between internal and external. Internal, the sperms will fertilize the ovum inside the female's body, while this one, the sperms will fertilize the ovum inside the outside the female's body or the female reproductive system. Identify the characteristics which show external, characteristics that show external. When you talk about the characteristics which show that this individual is external, we see that the organisms you see that the sperms and the ovum are meeting together outside the female's body. If you look at an example of a frog of the question we have just done now, you will see that the sperm and the ovum are meeting outside the what? Outside the female's body. So it does shows that is the external fertilization. So well, internal, so that is internal. It shows that the male, the cock and the hen, the sperms are being inserted inside the what? The hen. Therefore, there is no way how you're gonna see sperms fertilizing the what? The ovum. So meaning that the eggs you eat are already fertilized with the cock's what? Yes, they were external. You can see them that the sperms are fusing with the ovum outside the female's body. All right, we continue without wasting time. What are advantages of internal? The high chances of the sperms to meet the ovum so that there is successful fertilization. Then when we talk about oviparous, oviparous is when they develop when the development is outside the mother's body. And then internal is when the viviparous is when the development is inside the mother's body and the baby is obtaining nutrients from the what? From the mother. So you see that these questions, you have to know them by heart. They are saying that what are advantages of viviparous over and viviparous over oviparous. Here, because the development is inside and then here the development is outside, here there are high chances of the baby to develop to maturity or to be given birth to compared to this, because now the eggs here are exposed. It's easy for the predators to feed on them. So the eggs are being preyed upon by the predators. While here there is some bit of protection to get those eggs, or to get that developing baby, you have to first kill the mother so that now you are able to eat those eggs. Unfortunately, for oviparous, it is not the case. The eggs are exposed. And number two, they also experience these harsh conditions of the what? Of the environment. Then we have the next question. They are saying that what is the function of amnion? Amnion is basically it brings about some bit of protection, and if you go to the human body, it has a lot of functions whereby talk about cushion, you talk about temperature regulation, you talk about free movement, you talk about free movement. So when it comes to the human, it has more functions than in the amniotic egg. Then chorion is very important for gaseous exchange. It's very good for gaseous exchange. It brings about respiration. And then the yolk sac provides nutrients to the developing embryo. And then allantois is responsible for waste products. Then precocial versus atricial. The major difference between precocial eyes are open. It's born prepared, meaning that is cautious about the environment. So it's born prepared. The eyes are open, able to see, walk, defend themselves. Yeah, as if you check there, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. Yes, you see what I'm talking about. So all this we are done, you see. Now eyes are open, it can walk, it can defend itself, it has feathers, everything. While when you talk about atricial, eyes are closed, it can't walk, it can't defend itself, it can't feed itself, it can't do basically anything. So you don't just memorize and then give the answers. You look at the diagram they have given you, and then after that you answer according to the diagram they have given you. Don't just answer, and then rush and then continue. Identify the characteristic organisms which undergo precocial and atricial. Obviously, if you talk about precocial, we can see in ducks, we will find them, and then atricial, we can see them in humans. So in this case, eyes are closed, eyes are open, down feathers, can walk, it can feed itself, while this one, eyes are closed, can't walk, can't defend itself. So those are the characteristics you are talking about. What is the function of parental care? Basically, parental care is responsible for bringing about protection. That is the major function. And then also teaching the young ones how the nature, like how to behave in this environment. Then we got the next question is why are, you need to know how to label all these parts. Why are testes hung outside the male's body? Basically, we say that the testes hang outside the male's body so that sperms are produced at a temperature which is below the body temperature, which is 2 degrees. 2 degrees less than 2 degrees less than the body temperature, So what does that mean? It means that if it is less than the body temperature, then it means that yes, it means that sperms, when it is too cold, they have to get a little bit higher temperature. When it is too hot, they are released. So they hang outside to provide the optimum temperature for sperm production. Because sperms are being produced at temperature which is 2 degrees less than the body temperature. This is what it's saying. This is best temperature for sperm production. So they're saying that yes, you see that you're saying that they hang outside the male body that 2 degrees below 37, meaning that 2 degrees below the body temperature. Then we got the next question, which they are saying that which hormone is responsible for secondary sexual characteristics? The hormone which is responsible for secondary sexual characteristics is what we call testosterone. We saw that. Now from there, you need to know each and every part of this. We say this is fallopian tube, this is endometrium, this is ovary, this is cervix, this is vagina, and the second name for the vagina, we say that is the birth canal. Yes. Then we go here. If you look at this here, we see that this is vas deferens. Then this is the bladder. Then we say that this is the seminal vesicles. This is prostate gland. This is the penis. This is the testis. And then this is the scrotum. You see? So now you are able to answer each and every part. Structure of a sperm, you need to know it is the acrosome, which contains, you have to know each and every part and the function. Yes. This is the nucleus, this is the middle piece, and then this is the tail. When we come back here, we shall see that A is the placenta. It's a placenta. It's the part of the mother's blood vessel, and then here it shows that it's the part of the baby's blood vessels. Okay, and then this is the the uterine wall, and then we see its amnion. This is the fetus, and then this is it looks to be the it used to be the chorion, and then this looks to be the endometrium. Yes, and the endometrial wall, and then this is the what we call the umbilical cord. Yes, so yeah, you need to know that, and also need to know what happens during the fertilization process here. Then when we come to this, we see that identify the cycle above. This is the ovarian cycle. Remember, we said that there are two. You have the ovarian cycle and the uterine cycle. Which process occurs at B? We see that this is ovulation. And then what is structure D? We say the structure D is immature ovum. And then they are saying that which hormone is produced by structure A? Structure A is Graafian follicle, therefore is going to be estrogen. What is A? That is mature Graafian follicle. What is woman? Which woman is produced by C? This is supposed to be which hormone, not woman. Which hormone is produced by C? It is progesterone, and structure C is corpus luteum. It is corpus luteum, so the hormone is progesterone. Which hormone is responsible for development of A? What makes this to develop is FSH. So here we see that this is FSH. Which hormone is responsible for development of C? It means that after this has been released, which hormone is responsible for this? And is LH. Is the individual pregnant? No, the individual is not pregnant. Why? Because we see that there is degeneration, there is integration of corpus luteum. Give a reason for your answer. There is degeneration of corpus luteum, or the corpus luteum is integrating. Yeah, did I say integrating? Disintegrating. Yes, so it's basically developing down, it's breaking down. All right. Then they're saying which hormone is responsible for stimulation of maturation of sperms? We say that that is testosterone. What is the general name for seminal vesicle, prostate gland, and the corpus gland? We say this is called accessory glands. We call them what? Accessory glands, you see? Yes. Then they're saying that which cells are responsible for production of testosterone? We call them cells of Leydig. Cells of what? Cells of Leydig. They are here. Testosterones are being produced by cells of Leydig. So that is the spelling. So don't say that you don't know the spelling. A little bit faster so that I can go back to our question paper, because this is a catch-up. They're saying that which cells are responsible for providing nutrients to the developing sperms? We said Sertoli cells. So if you come back here, we see that the cells are here, are responsible for nourishing the developing sperms. Then we go to the next question. They're saying that will a person's when the person's vas deferens is cut, will the person be able to impregnate a woman? The answer is no. The answer is no. Why? Because the sperms cannot. They're asking you that if this part is cut, will the person be able to? Let's go back to this question. Where did I say? They're saying that if this part is cut, will the person be able to impregnate? The answer is no. Why? Because the sperms cannot move to ejaculatory duct. You see? Why? Because it is cut. Yes. Then they are saying that will the person be able to spread HIV? Yes. Give a reason for your answer. Because there are some other fluids which are being produced. Therefore, these fluids, they might contain HIV. Yes, so other fluids, including blood, remember during that action time, there is friction which is being generated, there is exchange of blood, therefore that blood can make the person to exchange the what? The HIV and other fluids from the accessory glands. They are saying that if fallopian tube is cut, will a person become pregnant? The answer is yes, because here they say the fallopian tube, not fallopian tubes. So the answer is yes, because the second fallopian tube can be used to produce an ovum. Yes, if one fallopian tube produces one this time, the next one is going to produce the next time. Yes. Give two male and female secondary, give two male and secondary sexual characteristics. Males, talk about the voice, talk about the beard, talk about the beard, the armpits, the hair in the armpits, pubic hair, the same story to the females, the same story, but you can onset of the menstruation, talk about the development of the mammary glands, that is the breast. Don't call them boobs. I know you guys like to call them boobs, not in life science. They're saying that which hormone is responsible for male secondary sexual characteristic? It is testosterone, and then female, it is estrogen. 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 Describe the process of spermatogenesis. Yes, this one we talked about the process of oogenesis, but spermatogenesis is also the same. Under the influence of testosterone, the diploid cell in the seminiferous tube will undergo meiosis to form four haploid cells which mature to form sperms. Under the influence of testosterone, the diploid cells in the seminiferous tube will undergo meiosis to form four haploid sperm cells. That's it. Nothing else. Nothing else. Please do that. Please make sure that you have enough time to go through this. Make sure that you go through these questions. Prepare yourself. Don't wait for the last minute, and then make sure that you go through them and then you get the answer. What is spermatogenesis? Is the production of sperms. What is oogenesis? Is the production of ovum in the cells or in the male or female reproductive system. A combination of sperms and spermatogenesis and oogenesis is called, because you are forming gametes, so they're going to become gametogenesis. Gametogenesis. Yes, that's the combination of the two. That is what you call gametogenesis. So you guys use this distinction material book. I say that get this book from the YouTube channel by clicking join button. Then you will be able to access that book. Once you unlock it, then you are able to get and access these books for grade 10, 11, and 12. All right, then we continue to the next question. Draw the structure of a sperm. Make sure that you know how to draw the structure of a sperm. Why should I draw the structure of a sperm when I saw here that I have a structure of a sperm? So make sure that you know how to draw the structure of a sperm like this. Make sure that the head is proportional to the middle piece and is proportional to the tail. Don't just draw and then leave. Yes, and then make sure that you label. Then they are saying that how is the sperm adapted to its function? What is the function? Talk about the tail having the tail having the is long to provide the propulsion force. Talk about the middle piece providing the having mitochondria to provide the energy for movement of the sperm, and then talk about the head, which has the acrosome, which contains the enzymes which digest the membrane of the ovum. Please take note of this. It is not acrosome which digests the membrane of the ovum. It is the enzymes which are found in the acrosome. So it contains the enzymes which digest the membrane of the ovum. And then talk about what? Talk about the nucleus, which contains the nucleus. So you have to talk about each and every part which you see here. Yes, the nucleus, it contains what? It contains the genetic material for inheritance. Yes, so you have to talk about each and every part. Then we got the next question. They are telling you that How is this? Okay, we are done with that. How is the sperm adapted for locomotion? Now, when you talk about for locomotion, we only talk about here the middle, this tail long enough to provide a propulsion force. Talk about the middle piece having the mitochondria for energy. Also, talk about the pointed shape to reduce friction. Yes, and then if they ask you how is adapted it for fertilization, here you only talk about the head, which is it has the acrosome which digests the membrane of acrosome which contains enzyme to digest the membrane of the ovum, and then the nucleus which contains the genetic material for inheritance. Then we go to the next question. They're saying that give the function of each part. Give the function of each part, meaning that you are able to label each and every part here. If you look at it, we see that what is A, what is happening here? It is fertilization. What is B? It is the nucleus. As the nucleus, and then what is B? It is a zygote, which process this is mitosis, and then what is this is the morula, and then what is this is the blastula. Yeah, the outer membrane is called the chorion, and then it's called the chorion, and then this is basically the fetus or developing. All right. They're saying that give the what is the consequence when the sperm has no acrosome? Then if it has no acrosome, it won't be able to penetrate the membrane of the ovum so that fertilization can take place. If the acrosome is not there, then definitely, because they can even bring a diagram whereby the acrosome has a problem and ask you what are the consequences. So you have to know that. List the 4 hormones which are involved in the menstrual cycle. So we know this one, LH, estrogen, progesterone, and the FSH. So all these hormones, you must know that this and this, they are from the brain. These two, they are from the ovary. Is the person pregnant? Is the person pregnant? Now, if you look at this small graph, where's my graph? Where did I put my graph? Where did I put my graph? My graph is here. Is the person pregnant? If you look at it, we saw this such question. Yeah, is the person pregnant? If you look at this, the person is not pregnant because the level of progesterone is dropping and corpusculum is also degenerating. Then they're asking you, so these are questions which are linked to that graph which you're supposed to answer. Then they are saying that give the name for is the person pregnant? From the graph, give a reason for your answer. We said the level of progesterone is dropping, and then corpus luteum is also doing what? Is also degenerating. What is the influence of the level of progesterone after 24 days? What is the influence of increase in the level? If there is an increase in the level of progesterone after 26 days, then it means that it will prevent the production of FSH. If increase in the level of progesterone will lead to the decrease in the level of FSH. You understand? Yes. Why? Because progesterone will inhibit the production of FSH, and then automatically the person cannot become what? Pregnant. Yes. What is copulation? Insertion of the penis inside the what? The vagina. What is fertilization? We saw that is when the haploid nucleus of the sperm fuses with the haploid nucleus of the ovum to form a diploid zygote. Explain the process of fertilization. Here they're asking you to explain the process of fertilization. That's when the sperm, the haploid nucleus of the sperm, is when the sperm approaches the ovum, the acrosome of the sperm will release the enzyme which will digest the membrane of the ovum so that the haplonucleus of the ovum of the sperm can fuse or can enter and fuse with the haplonucleus of the ovum to form the diploid zygote. Yeah, basically that's what they are looking for. If you look at our distinction material book, they are basically asking you to explain this process. After haploid sperm, after ovulation, the haploid sperm produces the enzyme, and then from the acrosome, which digests the membrane of the ovum, and then it penetrates the haploid ovum, and the nuclei, the two nuclei of the ovum and the sperm fuse to form a diploid zygote. So that is the process of fertilization. So if they ask you to label this, you must be able to know how to label These are sperms moving towards the ovum. You see them, and then fertilization is taking place. No, fertilization took place. I think you see it has taken place here. It's taking place here. Yeah, so the sperms are moving like this. Fertilization has taken place. It means that now this has become a zygote. So it is moving. This is a ball of cells, which is morula, and then it's still now full morula, and then here fertilization has not fertilization, implantation is taking place here, has taken place here. So a lot of questions you can please do, and then explain the process. Yeah, we are done with that. So from here, it is the human response to the environment. Okay, let's go to questions which are linked to that, and then we can be a little bit faster, and we are able to finish them in just a few seconds. So we have seen the brain. So we have seen this. Yeah, so we are here on our question paper. So the diagram below shows the reflex arc, meaning that the path traveled by the impulse during the reflex action. The arrow indicates the direction of the nerve impulse transmission. If you look at this, we see that this is the hand, therefore this is the sensory neuron, then it enters via the dorsal root. Here is the ganglion, then here you see the synapse. Here you have the interneuron, then you have the motor neuron, then you have the ventral root, here, and then here you have the motor neuron. Yeah, basically, yes, motor neuron, yes, and then this is the effector. So once we know that, then you are able to label part B. We say that part B is the spinal cord. The whole structure is the spinal cord. Define the reflex action is a rapid automatic response to the stimulus. We want to see the word rapid. We want to see the word automatic. Or we can use the word involuntary. Involuntary. Yes, rapid automatic response or reaction to the stimulus. Tabulate difference between A and D. A is basically the motor neuron, A is the sensory neuron, and B and D is the motor neuron. So if they ask you such question, make sure that before you think anything else, draw a table, and then this table you write neuron A, and then neuron B. Once you do that, you get 1 mark, and then now you go look for the other 4 marks by looking at the differences between the two. So if you look at neuron A, the cell body, yes, is the cell body is in the middle of the neuron. While neuron B, we see that the cell body is at the end of the neuron. So because if you look at it here, the cell body is here, you see, while here the cell body is at the end. So it means that if you look at the structure, the two structures, let me just use the distinction material book for that structure to be, yep, that is also an example. Or we can go back here, and then we see it clearly that they are looking for the difference between neuron A and then neuron D, of which this is neuron A and then this is neuron D. So they're asking you the difference between the sensory neuron and the motor neuron. So talk about the dendrite here, the cell body. Here, check the cell body where it is. You can talk about the dendrite along, and axon is short for the neuron A, which is a sensory neuron. If you look at it here, you see. And then when you look at the motor neuron, we see that the dendrite are short and the axon is longer. You see, dendrite are short while the axon is longer. Yes, so you can talk about monopolar, the other one is bipolar. This is monopolar, it has one side, and then here it's bipolar, it has this side and this side. So any differences between sensory neuron and motor neuron, but please make sure that you know how to draw either the motor neuron or the sensory neuron. We got the next question. They're saying that explain why the brain is not involved in the reflex action. Basically, the brain is slow. The brain is slow. It requires to think before the reaction is brought about, and then by that time, the body is having already the damages. Yeah. So what we do is just do with the reflex arc, the spinal cord, because the spinal cord is a little bit faster. Yes. So it shortens the reaction time. So if the reaction time is longer, then automatically you're gonna have those problems with the protecting the body. Remember, the function of the reflex action is to protect the body from further harm or from danger. If the person suffers from multiple sclerosis, explain the effect of the disease. Basically, what happens if someone is suffering from multiple sclerosis? Remember, this is the disorder which is as a result of the degeneration of the myelin sheath. If the myelin sheath is broken down, then automatically we're gonna see that if the myelin sheath is broken down, we're gonna suffer from what we call the slow, because the function of myelin sheath is to speed up the transmission of impulse. So if the myelin sheath is not there, then it means that the speed at which the impulse is being transmitted is going to be what? Is going to be lowered. Hence, we can say that it will cause the transmission of impulse to be slow, and then due to the damage of the myelin sheath, resulting in the slow reaction time or reaction. All right, then we go to investigative question. I'm not going to go through this that much, but you need to read in the investigative question. Make sure that you read the first statement and the second statement. Those two statements are very important. One of them will help you to understand the concept. Okay, the reproductive hormone estrogen and progesterone increase the thickening of the endometrium during menstrual cycle. Okay, an investigation was conducted conducted on the influence of estrogen and progesterone on the thickening. You see, estrogen and progesterone are independent, while the thickening is dependent on the level of estrogen and progesterone which is present. So if the level of progesterone and estrogen is low, automatically the endometrium thickening is going to be low. If it is high, endometrium thickening is also going to be high. So you have to read, and then you see, identify the independent. I've just talked about them. So you always get the independent and dependent variable there, or you can get it from the table. Explain the significance of group 1. In most cases, if you see group 1, which group is always the control experiment. Here they are saying that no hormone was given or was given to this group. So automatically, this is good for control experiment to see the other what is the cause of the changes we have seen, because the control has no effect, like it's supposed to run normally. So now any change which happens outside the control, it's being caused by the condition you have exposed to the other experiments or the other groups. State 2 ways in which the validity of the results was ensured. Remember, this is the language was ensured. It means that you have to look at what did they do? What did they do to ensure this? So if you look at it, they're asking you explain the validity, non-reliability. What did they use the same? If you look at it, we will see that they use the same number of people, same period of time, same individuals, same deity, same. You see that what did they use as same? So that is what is gonna make you to know that is validity. So they use the same diet, they use the same exercise, they use the same period, they use the same health individuals. You see, yes. State the conclusion of this. State the conclusion of this investigation. So in this case, they're asking you the conclusion. If you look at this, you have to, I'm not saying that the question is going to come like this, but there will be an investigative question whereby they're going to ask you to draw. You understand? So in this case, but I will do a small repeat about it. They are saying that state they want the conclusion. If you look at this, we see that estrogen and progesterone increases the thickening of the endometrium more than estrogen and estrogen and progesterone increase the thickening of what? Of endometrium. Yeah, if you look at this, it shows that if you look at that and you look at that and you look at that, this is the control. So if you check this, check this, check here, check this, check here, check this, check here, check this, check here, check this, check here. You see that estrogen and progesterone increase the thickening of endometrium more than estrogen and progesterone alone. If you combine progesterone and estrogen and progesterone, the thickening is going to be much more higher than when you only have estrogen independently and progesterone independently. That's the meaning. Yes, if you check there. So it's an investigative question. You can have a lot of them. We don't usually repeat such questions. Then let's go to the ear. Make sure that you know how to draw the ear. Remember that the ear, it goes like that, and then you have that part so that now it's complete. Yeah, so here we have the cochlea, you have the autonomic or auditory nerves, which go to, since they're coming from the cochlea, then it means that they are going to cerebrum. And then if they are coming from here, it means that they are going to cerebellum. You understand? So this is the semicircular canals. These are oscus, malleus, incus, and stapes. And then this is, because it is round, so it's a round window, while this is oval window. This is the eustachian tube, and then this is the tympanic membrane or tympanum, auditory canal, and then this is the pinna. So you have to know how to label and give the answers for that. Give two types of receptors in A. If you look at A, we need to find out, is it a cochlea or it is a semicircular canal? So basically it's a semicircular canal, so the answer becomes cristae and maculae. So in this case, I'm going to say cristae, and then I'm going to say also the maculae. Maculae. Yes, so those are the sensory cells. Remember, cristae is speed, and direction, while maculae is for position of the head of the body. Yes, so you need to know this when it comes to what? The balance, changing the speed and direction of the head stimulates the maculae, stimulates the cristae found in the ampulla of the semicircular canal. Change in the position of the head or the body will stimulate the maculae found in the ampulla, found in the circulus and the traculus of the semicircular canal. The stimuli is converted into a nerve impulse, which is sent along the auditory nerve for interpretation to restore balance. Yes, so basically you need to know balance. Don't make a mistake to go without balance. They're saying that the neuron B transmits impulse to the cerebrum. Okay, neuron B. Then they're saying name, identify, automatically is going to be, we said that this is auditory nerves. Then they're saying neuron B transmits the identify. Yes, so it's the auditory nerves. Yes, the auditory nerves is a part of sensory neuron. Yes, is a part of what? Sensory neuron. Give one function of D. One function of D. What is D? Oh, it eases the excess pressure from the inner ear. It eases the excess pressure from the inner ear, or you can say it absorbs the excess pressure from the inner ear. Either way, it is correct, and we can mark it. We can mark it correct. Explain the role of C. What is C? Role of C in the interpretation of sound. When you talk about the role of C, Remember, role of C is cochlea. So C is cochlea, which contains the organ of Corti, stimulated when there is a change in the environment. So basically, C is the cochlea, which contains the organ of Corti, which is stimulated and converts this stimulus into a nerve impulse. Yes, into a nerve impulse. So basically, it's to convert the stimulus, that is the pressure wave, which is generated in the inner ear by the oval window. Yes, the oval window creates the pressure wave in the inner ear, which stimulates the organ of Corti in the cochlea, and then that is converted into a nerve impulse. So that's why we say that cochlea contains the organ of Corti, or C contains the organ of Corti, which is stimulated when there is a change, or when there is a pressure wave which is created in it, and then it converts this pressure wave into a nerve impulse. So yeah, that's it. Give a reason, give one function of D. Give one function of D. So we have seen that. Explain the role. We are done with that. So in that case, we shall say that, yeah, at least. Then question 3, we see we have to label everything. I told you that once you have a diagram, make sure that you label. That is the aqueous humor. That is B, it is the cornea. And then that is C, is the what? Iris, and then that is the lens, and then that is the retina. So that is it. They're saying that fluid A. What is fluid A? We have seen it, we have seen it, we have seen it. Explain two structure adaptations of E. If you look at E, E is a lens which is elastic. So it is elastic. Yes. What is it for? Yes, it helps. It's basically the lens which changes the shape. It's elastic. It changes the shape for accommodation, to be able to focus near and far object. Yes, so it is elastic, so that is able to change its shape during the focusing of the near and the far object. Number 2, if you look at it like this, it's biconcave. It's biconcave, or did I say biconcave? Because concave is like this. It's biconvex. It's biconvex. That shape is convex one side, and another side is biconvex. So even if you say convex, it's also still fine. What is it for? To focus on light to the retina, to focus light onto the retina. Yes. So basically it does that so that it's able to bend the light to the retina, to bring the light into focus so that you're able to see the object. Then you can also talk about is transparent, to allow light to penetrate to so that you are able to form the image to the retina. So it is transparent, to allow light to pass through so that an image is focused onto the retina. So basically, if you look at the lens, it's elastic, it's transparent, and then also the biconvex shape. All these, we remember when they say explain the adaptation. Adaptation is the part, the shape, and the function of that specific characteristic you have talked about. Don't just say that it's biconvex, it is thick, then you stop there. You just get 1 mark, and then that's all. Describe the role of C, that is the iris, in the pyrrhine mechanism when exposed to dim light. Remember, in dim light, we have R with the C, and then C with R, of which structure C, which is the iris, has sacral muscles and radial muscles. So we shall say that the sacral muscles of the iris relax, the radial muscles of the iris, that where the iris must be there. Radial muscles of the iris will contract, the sacral muscles of the iris will relax, the diameter of the pupil will increase, and then more light will enter the eye. So make sure that you know pupillary mechanism. Then we go to describe the changes that take place in the eye to be able to read the object on time, or on the watch, the watch which is put on the hand. All right. So in this case, the wristwatch is less than 6 meters, so it means that this is the nearby object. So this is dim light, and then this is the accommodation. So in this case, they're asking you to do that, and then in that case you have to explain the nearby object. In this case, we're gonna say that, remember, when a nearby object, the lens is supposed to be big, meaning that the suspensor ligament must become slacken, and then the ciliary muscles must contract. So we shall say that the ciliary muscles contract, the ciliary muscles will contract, the suspensor ligament will slacken, the tension on the lens decreases. Yes, the lens becomes more convex. The light rays is bent more. And then a clear image is focused onto the retina. Yes, radial muscles, ciliary muscles contract, suspensor ligament is slacken, tension on the lens decrease, the lens becomes more convex, the refraction power, meaning that has increased, meaning that now the light rays are bent more to the retina, are bent more, a clear image is focused onto the retina. So that's it. Accommodation, you can't go without knowing periodic mechanism, you can't go without knowing accommodation. So that is done. We go to the, if Andrew looks at an object that is close to him, he sees a clear and with the focus. When he looks at the objects far away, they are out of focus. Identify the visual defect, which is this. Since looks at an object that is close to him, he sees them clearly, but when it is far, then it is meaning that you are able to see object which is near. So therefore it is a nearby object, so which is short sightedness. Yes, this person is suffering from what called short-sightedness. They are saying that, explain how Andrew sees the distant object to be cut out of focus. So if you look at it, the eyeball is too round, meaning that now the object will form before the retina. You understand? Our eyeball is too round, resulting in the light rays falling in front of the what? Of the retina. So you won't be able to see, because if it is, the eyeball is too round, in other words, the eyeball is long for them. It's long, meaning that the image, if this is the lens, yes, the image will be focused here instead of being focused here. So it means that the eyeball is too long. Yes, the light cannot fall onto the retina. Yes, so that is it. Then they're asking you, yes, from there we can go back to our catch up, and then we see what is the function of a receptor is basically to detect the changes in the external environment. What is the function of effector? We say that to detect, to bring about the response to the environment, the response after you have detected, like the muscles and glands. Yes, those are the effectors. A detectable change in the internal or external environment, how do you call that? That is a stimulus. An electric signal generated by the receptor in a response to the stimulus, we call it an impulse. What is the function of this? The nervous system is basically to coordinate the different parts of the body so that you are able to respond properly, be aware of the environment, protect your body. All that is it. How is the brain protected? Meninges, cerebrospinal fluid, and then cranium. You see, now we're just repeating what we have said. Functions of cerebrum, we say that coordinates all the coordinates all voluntary action, receives and interprets all the sensation, center for all voluntary actions. It is It receives and interprets of the sensation, controls all voluntary actions, and then is a center for higher thought processes like memory, reasoning, and judgment. Cerebellum, we say that it's muscle tone and balance and equilibrium. Medulla oblongata, involuntary actions and also coordinates voluntary movements. Corpus callosum, we say that connects the left and the right hemispheres together, left and right hemisphere together, and also we say that it allows communication between the two hemispheres. It allows communication between the two hemispheres. Then we talked about how is the spinal cord protected. The spinal cord is protected. We said that the cerebral spinal fluid, the vertebra, and the cerebral spinal fluid, then it is also protected by the vertebra and also the membranes, which are the meninges. Explain what is involved in the peripheral nervous system. Here we are talking about, when you talk about the peripheral nervous system, and then here they're talking about autonomic nervous system. Peripheral nervous system is divided into autonomic nervous system and the somatic nervous system, of which somatic nervous system is responsible for the 12 pairs of the cranial nerves, and then the 31 pairs of the spinal nerves. And then the autonomic nervous system is divided into parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system. So when you come back here to our distinction material book, you will see whatever we are talking about here. I just didn't want to remember, yeah, this is what we are talking about. This is what we are talking about, ne? Peripheral nervous system, somatic nervous system, autonomic nervous system. Somatic nervous system involves all the voluntary muscles, and then autonomic nervous system involves the what? Involve the sympathetic and then the parasympathetic nervous system. So we go to continue with our catch up. We're saying that how is the, okay, we are done with that. Nervous system is responsible for storing the body after emergence. We say that is parasympathetic nervous system. Name two systems which work. The two systems work in opposite way, referred to as is antagonistic. Antagonistic, this is what we are talking about. Antagonistically, two systems work to each other in the opposite way. We call it antagonistic. By the way, that book can be accessed on our YouTube channel. Just go and click on join, and then you'll be able to get the book. Then we continue to the next question. I'm rushing here because these are not. Please make sure that you do all these questions I've given you. Otherwise, you regret, and then I don't want you to regret about it. Yes, the video is a little bit longer, but make sure that, yes, you will benefit with it. If you have time for it, you will get the results from it. State 2 system, okay. What is the difference between sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system? Basically, sympathetic, it brings the body to, it prepares the body for emergence, and then parasympathetic, it restores the body from the emergent situation, whereby if the heartbeat was high, so after that you can draw a table, and then you give us the difference between the two. What does this one do? Heartbeat increase, or decreases, is it? Constriction of the blood vessels of the skin, dilation of the blood vessels of the skin, increase in the blood pressure, decrease in the blood pressure. So that's what we are talking about. Then we are going to draw the structure of a neuron. We did draw it, and then I say that make sure that you know how to draw the structure of a neuron. That's motor neuron and the sensory neuron. What is the function of the axon? Transmits impulse away from the cell body. And what is the function of the dendrite? Transmits impulse towards the cell body. They are saying that what is the function of the sensory neuron? Interneuron and motor neuron. Sensory neuron transmits impulse from the effector, from the sensory cell or receptor to the central nervous system. Connector neuron connects the sensory neuron and the motor neuron, or transmits impulse from the sensory neuron to motor neuron. Motor neuron transmits the impulse from the central nervous system to the effector. What is the reflex arc? Is the rapid is the path traveled by the impulse during the reflex action. What is the reflex action? Is a rapid automatic response to the stimulus. We talked about this. Give two examples of this. Blinking of the eye, blinking of the eye. You can talk about withdrawal of the hand from the hot object, knee jerk. All that is reflex actions. They're saying what's the function of reflex action is to protect the body from danger or from further harm. What is the synapse is a junction between two or more neurons. We talked about it. What is the function of the synapse? It protects the body from further harm or from yeah, no. What's the function of the synapse? We say that the function of the synapse is to allow impulse to move in one direction. It allows impulse to move in one direction. And also is a junction between two or more neurons. You can also talk about it. So that's it. The function junction between two or more neuron, sometimes successful neuron. So what is the significance? Ensures the impulse move in one direction, prevents the continuous stimulation of the neuron. You see? Yes. So we continue to the next question. They're saying that what happens if the motor neuron is damaged? So we talked about it. We said that if the motor neuron is damaged, then it means that if your motor neuron is damaged, where is that question? If this is damaged, it means that you won't be able to feel, but you will be able, you will be able to feel, but you won't be able to respond. And then if the sensory neuron is damaged, then it means that you will not be able to feel, but you will be able to respond. How? You can go to our videos where I explained that very well. Then they are saying that describe the process of reflex action. Here I say that you explain the whole process whereby you talk about this. The impulse through the sensory neuron enters the spinal cord via the dorsal root. You have the synapse, then another synaptic connection moves. The motor neuron moves out of the spinal cord via the ventral root, goes to the effector, and then the effector contracts and then moves out of the body. If you want that, you can also find it here. If you don't have the book, you pause and then you take a screenshot. Yes. You can find it here. This is what I'm talking about until here. So you start here, you go here, you go here, you go here, and then you complete here. You see that the impulse, the body respond to the stimulus quickly, and then from the stimulus, that is the pain. All right, we go the next question. They're saying that write down the path traveled by the impulse during the reflex action. When they say the path, they're asking you that here it is the sensory neuron, the connector neuron, and then the what? The motor neuron. So basically, is the receptor, sensory neuron, connector neuron, then a motor neuron, and then the effector, showing the arrow going to that direction. I hope you understand what I'm saying, but this is what they're talking about. Yeah, receptor, sensory neuron, connector neuron, motor neuron, and then the effector. That is what you call the path, if they ask you about the path. Differentiate between Alzheimer's disease and multiple sclerosis. This one leads to basically memory loss, the brain cells or cerebrum damaged, and then this one is basically multiple sclerosis, slow in the reaction, and basically is as a result of the degeneration of the myelin sheath. Yes. Draw and label the structure of the eye. We did that, and then we try to label it, even if you don't know how to draw, but make sure that you know how to label such structures. Yes, and then they are saying that vision involving two eyes, we call it binocular. And then what is accommodation? Ability of the eye to adjust the focal length of the lens so that you are able to focus near and far object. Describe the structure changes which happen to the person of viewing less than 6 meters. The question has just been answered here when we are explaining about the accommodation. This one. Then we are saying that just a moment. Then you are saying that what is parallel mechanism? This one is the ability to see in dim and bright light, and this kind of changes to see when the person is in dim light. So the question has been already answered, and they are saying that dim light is C with R. We mix things, C with R, R with C. Radio muscles contract, sacral muscles relax, the diameter of the pupil increase, and then more light enters the eye. Then we talked about short-sightedness. We talked about it. How do you treat it? We treat it by bringing about concave lens. And then this one, long-sightedness, it means that the eyeball is too long. So how do you do that? It means that we do by convex lenses. And then astigmatism, multiple images. How do you treat that? You can do the laser surgery, or we cut with the laser. Cataracts is the crystallization of the lens, and how do you treat that? We do surgery, or we replace it with a synthetic lens, yes, which we call the man-made lens. Then lastly, on this question, describe the process of hearing. When we talk about the hearing, here we describe, we talked about, you explain part by part. The same way here I was explaining to it that you start from the ear, the pinna collects sound wave, directs it to the auditory nerve, auditory canal sends the impulse, sends the wave to the tympanic membrane. The tympanic membrane vibrates and causes the oscars to vibrate too. The oscars will amplify the vibration. The last bone, that is the stapes, will cause the over window to vibrate. The over window will create a pressure wave in the inner ear, and then this pressure wave will cause the organ of Corti in the cochlea to be stimulated to convert the impulse into to convert the stimulus into a nerve impulse. The nerve impulse is going to be moved along the auditory nerve to cerebrum for interpretation to so that you're able to hear. So basically, that is it. You have to know that. And then balance, I talked about it. Please make sure that you can use this mode of balance. Changing the speed and direction of the head stimulates the what? Stimulates the crystal found in the ampulla of the semicircular canal, changing the position of the head stimulates the maculae found the circulus and the utriculus of the semicircular canal, the stimulus is converted into a nerve impulse we send along the auditory nerve to cerebellum for interpretation to restore balance. So such questions, you have to be knowing them. There's nothing magic I'm gonna tell you to do. You have to know it. Create a song. Make sure that you remember this. You still have enough time for you to do this so that you master and you kill the paper. Or otherwise, the paper will smash you. All right, if you don't do that. All right, I don't want this paper to smash you. I want you to smash the paper. All right, we continue. What is the middle ear infection? Middle ear infection is basically as a result of the accumulation of the fluid which is caused by the bacteria in the middle ear. Yes. So how does it treat? How do you treat it? We use what you call the grommets. Number two, we use what you call antibiotics. We use antibiotics. Why do we use antibiotics? It's because this is caused by the bacteria. Yes, we use insert what called the grommets, and then also add what called the antibiotics. So the middle ear is being accumulation excess fluid in the middle ear caused by the pathogen infection. That is the bacteria. That is the middle ear infection. Yes. Then we go the next question, which is how do you minimize the hearing loss? Hearing aids, obviously we add hearing aids, remove the cerumen or wax from the auditory canal. Yes, what are hormones? Now we are going to the next point, which is hormones, the hormones. So before we go to the hormones, let's just finish up, and then we finish up our paper, and then we shall go back to the hormones as a what? I call it as a what? As a catch up. So let's go here, and then we shall see. Please make sure that you do this paper so that you are able to benefit in it. So if you try to label everything here, you see here we have the pituitary gland, the thyroid gland, you have the adrenal gland, you have the pancreas, you have the ovary, and then you have the testes. You have to know each and every function of each. That this one produce estrogen, testosterone, this one estrogen, progesterone, this one produce insulin and the glucagon, this one produce aldosterone and adrenaline, this one produce thyroxine, this one produce TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, LH, FSH, prolactin, prolactin 1, 2, 3, 4. There is one which is short, which is TSH, LH, prolactin. Yes. So you have to know what it produces. You have to know, and then growth hormone also produces what you call growth hormone. Yes. So now give the letter name of the part that endocrine gland are responsible for reabsorption of salt. Now you have to know the function of each hormone. Salt, it is the aldosterone. So make sure that you know the negative feedback mechanism of salt. Then they're saying that maintaining metabolic rate, that is thyroxine. So it means that it's B. Yes, B. You need to know the negative feedback mechanism of thyroxine. Control the glucose level. Then this is the pancreas, which is D. You need to know the negative feedback mechanism of glucose. So all this, remember, I told you that make sure that when it comes to this negative feedback mechanism, you start with the normal level. Yes, you start with the normal level, level of, for example, glucose in the blood. If there is here increase or high level, the last point must be decrease in the level of that. In this case, it is glucose. In this case is glucose. If here is decrease or low level of glucose, decrease of glucose, then the last point must be there is increase or is rise in the level of glucose. You understand? Then it means that I have two boxes to fill in here and here. And the first box must be about the gland. So in this case, which gland is it? Is the pancreas. Pancreas. And then what is the function of this gland? It produces, since it's too much here, so it's going to produce insulin. It means that gland and which hormone does it produce? Done. Then now, once you go here, you talk about the function of the hormone you have talked about. So insulin stimulates the conversion of glucose to glycogen. The moment glucose is converted into glycogen, what happens to the level? The level of glucose decreases and then it goes back to normal. So the cycle continues like that. Also 2 points here. If it's decrease here, then automatically I'm going to say pancreas is the gland. Which hormone does it produce? Glucagon. Now, what's the function of glucagon? Then this one is done. What's the function of glucagon? Glucagon stimulates the conversion of glycogen to glucose. The moment I have glucose, what's going to happen? The level of glucose will increase and then goes back to normal. So all these negative feedback mechanisms I've mentioned about here, all of them, they work the same way. You just need to know which gland, which normal level increase, the last one is decrease. The first gland, which hormone does it produce? What's the function of the hormone? The moment you know that, done. So basically, you need to know this. What is the gland? Which hormone does it produce? Function of the hormone. The negative feedback mechanism is done. Give the name of the hormone that stimulates the follicle development, stimulates the follicle development in the ovary. That is FSH. The saying give the hormone. Promotes the growth of skeleton and skeletal muscles. That is growth hormone. Don't say this, just write growth hormone. Yes, increase the glucose in the blood, that is glucagon. Why? Because it stimulates the conversion of glucose, of glycogen back to glucose. Name the disorder caused by imbalance of the thyroxine levels in the thyroxine levels. It is what you call the goiter, which I usually tell my students that I call it goiter. All right. Yes, it sounds like Afrikaans. Yeah, but it is goiter or goiter, the way how you want to pronounce it, but make sure that the spelling is correct. Explain why the pancreas is considered both endocrine and exocrine. The pancreas is considered to be endocrine and exocrine because it can secrete the hormones and also can secrete the digestive what? The digestive juices. So the pancreas can secrete the digestive juice and can also secrete the hormones. That's why it's called both endocrine and exocrine. Yes. Then the last question is about the flight. Yes, if not this question, they brought this question last time. So at least make sure that you know carbon dioxide. You know carbon dioxide? Yes. They're saying that the diagram below represents the flight or fight or flight reaction considered by the hormone. Three characteristics of the hormone. First of all, they're looking for the general characteristics of hormone. They are chemical messengers. They are protein in nature. They are required in small amounts. They are transported to the target organs. You understand? They stimulate or inhibit the process. It can stimulate or inhibit the process required in small amounts. They are chemical messengers. They are protein in natures. That's it. Any of that, you can get a mark. Identify the hormone responsible for fight or flight reaction. That is adrenaline. Yes, it's adrenaline. Then they're saying that explain three effects of hormone mentioned above. Here is what we talked about even previously, but you can talk about the increase in the heart rate, leading to the more blood saturation or pressure, or more glucose to the muscles. Yes, for respiration. Also, you can talk about dilation of the pupil so that more light can enter the eye and you're able to focus properly. You understand? It can increase the breathing and the depth of the breathing so that more oxygen is supplied to the cells for respiration. So you can talk about any other. You understand? Yes. So that is it. Let's go to the catch up and then we see what can we catch up. What are hormones? We said that these are chemical messengers required in small amounts, protein in nature, then transported to the target organs. What is the difference between endocrine gland and exocrine gland? Endocrine glands, they produce hormones. Exocrine gland, they produce other substances like digestive juice and the mucus. Yes. Endocrine glands, they are ductless glands. Exocrine glands, they are duct glands. Give one gland which is both endocrine and exocrine. We said it is the pancreas. They're saying that name all the glands. Make sure that you know how to label all these glands. All these glands must be named. Yes. Right. So we go the next question. They're saying that the disorder that lack of iodine in the body, that is goiter. We say it is what? Goiter. Goiter. Oh, they're saying that hyperthyroidism is basically it can be as a result of over stimulation of the thyroid gland to produce thyroxine, so it becomes hyperthyroidism. The negative feedback mechanism I've talked about for glucose, thyroxine, carbon dioxide, water, and salt. Please use the same principle which I've created here. You will be able to answer such questions. Yes. What are the special cells that are responsible for production of glucagon? We say them is islet of Langerhans. Yes, islets of Langerhans. These are cells which produce insulin and glucagon. You don't need to say beta cells and alpha cells. No, just islets of Langerhans. Then they're saying that what will happen if the person with low level of insulin in the body, basically the person will suffer from what you call diabetes mellitus. And if you have low level of insulin in the body, it means that glucose will not be stimulated will not be converted into glycogen. Yes. Other than glucagon, which other hormone results in the same conversion of glycogen back to glucose? That is adrenaline, because it's also used for adrenaline. It's also used for emergency, yes, so that more glucose is being produced. What is the hormone responsible for refrigeration? That is the ADH, antidiuretic hormone. Which structure in the skin are responsible for controlling the temperature? That is the structure, that is the sweat gland and the blood vessels of the skin, which is, so you have to know that. Where are you? 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 Yeah, you have to know that. You have to know. You have to know. I'm too far now. You have to know the skin, the structure of the skin, and then, I'm too far. Yeah, you have to know the structure of the what? Of the skin. I think this thing doesn't want me to show you, but if since it doesn't want me to show you, let me just go to the next question. Yes, this. What happens during hot day? What happens during cold day? And then, lastly, which part is responsible for detecting temperature? Describe a thermal regulation on a hot day. Yeah, that's what I said. That hot day, hypothalamus will send the impulse to the blood vessels of the skin. The blood vessels will dilate. More blood will flow near the skin. More heat is going to be lost. More blood is going to be sent to the sweat gland. The sweat gland becomes more active. More sweat is going to be produced. And then as it evaporates, it will lead to the cooling of the body. Yes, if you look at our distinction material book, this is what they are trying to say. Hypothalamus stimulated sends impulse to the blood vessels. The blood vessels dilate. This is called vasodilation. More blood vessel flow. More blood flows to the skin. More heat is lost from the skin. More blood is sent to the sweat gland. The sweat gland becomes more active. More sweat is released. Evaporation of the sweat cools the skin. Bam, done. Simple. They're saying that how do I differentiate between the blood vessels of individuals in the cold day and hot day? Blood vessels of individuals in the cold day, you see that the shunt here in the hot day, the shunt here is closed and more blood is flowing near the skin. You see, while blood vessels in the cold day, the blood will go through the shunt and then the blood vessel near the skin will be closed. A very good example is this. You see that this is cold day and then this is hot day. Yeah, that's what it is trying to show. And if they ask you what shows that this is the hot day, you see the sweat and the blood vessels have dilated. They have dilated. Then they're saying that thermoregulation, how do I differentiate? Okay. Then the last question, what is tropism? Is the turning away or towards to the stimulus by the plant. Yes, the growth is when the plant grow towards or away from the what? From the stimulus. Give two functions of auxins. They are very good in basically auxins are growth promoters. So it brings about growth of the what? Growth of the plant. Yes, they are looking for this, which is supposed to be, brings about the apical dominancy, that is the development. The plant will grow straight up. That is what called apical dominance. Regulation, growth regulation, cell division. So these are things which I cannot even change, even if it is me. It's your responsibility to make sure that you memorize this by heart. Okay, saying give me a reason which hormone is high concentration in winter. That is gibberellin. Give a reason for your answer because it brings about wilting, shading of the leaves. So basically, what are the functions of gibberellin? That's what they are talking about. Did they say winter? Did they say which one is in winter? Sorry guys, it's not gibberellin, it's abscisic acid. What I've said is the function of the abscisic acid. So yes, brings about shading of the leaves. Dormancy, brings about dormancy because you don't see plants growing during winter. Control the size of the organ, so there is no food which is being stored by then, so it controls their stomachal closure in the winter because we minimize the water loss. So all this is as a result of which hormone is high concentration in winter. Give me the reason for answer. So I've talked about them. The plant response to the stimulus in relation to light is referred to as phototropism. Explain the burning effect of light from the single direction. You have to know this. High concentration of auxin, light. You talk about that when the shoot is exposed to light from a single direction, the auxins will move to the dark side. The dark side will grow faster than the light side because the auxins are growth promoter, and then leading to the faster growth of the shoot to the source of the light. When the auxins or shoot is exposed to unilateral light, the auxins move or diffuse to the dark side because of the auxins are sensitive to what? To light. And then the auxins concentration will be high on the dark side, and the dark side will grow faster than the light side, leading to the bending of the shoot to the source of light. And then is the difference for the case of the root, whereby auxins inhibit growth in the root. Yes, I've tried to explain a good video about this, explaining the most likely the questions which are in terms of the practical. You can check it on our YouTube channel. I've tried to explain it so that you are able to understand. Okay, then we have the next question, which they're saying that plant response to stimulus, explain the bending effect of light from, okay, from the shoot. Which instrument is used to remove the bending effect of geotropism? This one is called the clinostat. The clinostat is this one which rotates. Clinostat. It rotates. It removes the bending effect. It keeps on rotating so that now there is equal distribution of auxins on the shoot. Yes. Then they're saying that how plants protected from herbivores, chemical thorns. You can use chemicals or you can use what? Thorns. Explain the bending effect of gravitropism in roots. That's what I've explained in terms of the root, that when the shoot is placed horizontally, the auxins move or diffuse the lower side. The lower side will have a high concentration, therefore will be growing slower than the upper side, which has no auxins, because auxins are growth inhibitor in this case. The upper side will grow faster than the lower side, and then leading to the bending of the shoot to the what? To the gravity. Okay. Lastly, validity investigative question. Please make sure that you know that. When you say validity, look for your answers must include the word the same. Reliability, increase the sample size, but don't just give generic answers. Tell us what did they do. Answer the question depending on the language they have used. Planning stage, make sure that you use the word decide. If you don't have the word decide, you're most likely to have it 0. Decide on the place you're gonna do the sample size, the individuals. Decide, it must have the word decide. Independent, and dependent. In most cases, we get it from the statement, the first statement of the investigative question. So if you, the same way I explained to you in the previous question, and or you go to the table and then trying to check it. In most cases, we can get it from the table, but not always. But 90% we can get it from the table. Control variable, this one is very important. The one which we have not changed, it's kept constant all over. If control experiment, this one is for the function is to compare the results and see what is the effect which is being caused by the other conditions you have altered. Please know how to calculate the percentage increase and the percentage decrease. Percentage increase is final minus initial over initial times 100. That is percentage increase. So you'll find out that maybe it's 10 minus the initial, which is 2, divided by 2 times 100. These percentages can be more than 100. It can be like 200 also. So if you get 200, don't be scared that my answer is wrong. Yes, percentage decrease is basically initial minus final over initial. So initial is always down. Yes. Pie chart, make sure that when you go to the pie chart, first calculate. If they give you 2, 4, 10, and 20 as the figures, please make sure that you first add them. 2 plus 4 plus 10 plus 20. This is 6, this is 16, this is 36. So the total is 36. And then now you say that 2 out of 36 times 360, then you get the answer as degrees. You don't plot with this. You don't plot with this. As long as it's not in degrees, we don't plot with them. You go to 4 out of 36 times 360, so that you convert it in degrees, and then 10 out of 36 times 360, you get the answer, and then 20 out of 36 times 360, and then you get the answer. After that, bring your protractor. Make sure that you bring your protractor, and then on the compass, remember it has a point, then it has a proper circle. Yes, if this circle is like this, we'll cross it. Yes, and then this point is where you put a protractor and then start measuring one by one, one by one, one by one, and then give a key, give a caption. Bars, the bars are supposed to be the same. Please don't make the bars to be different sizes. Ne? Different sizes. It's not a must that you're supposed to always start with a zero, you guys. You always start with zero, and then here you say 200, and then you say 201, 202. No, 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 no. It's not a must that you're supposed to start with the what? With a zero. Histogram has no spaces, but the bars are supposed to be the same. So you guys, that is it. I think I wish you the best for today. I will stop here. I will come back for paper 2, preparing you for paper 2. Please use this resource. Please, I repeat, use this resource. I know that if you use it, you're gonna get a distinction. As you know that I always tell you that use these resources. Yes, if you have ever seen these questions, don't complain. Just use them. Make sure that you are ready for the paper. Once the paper comes, you'll be happy and you'll thank me later. Thank you for being on our channel. See you again in the next class. Welcome back to our class. Today we're going to be talking about the preparation for Life Science Paper 1. Let's see what we expect. This is just a sample, but I'll be guiding you on more questions which are most likely to come. So I'll be combining 2 different papers. All right. So we are saying that